Do you realize that spending just $10 a day on coffee, takeout, or random Amazon buys can quietly cost you over $1 million over your lifetime? Sounds crazy, right? That's the power of compound interest, except it's working against you. Here's the reality in America today. The average person will earn $1 to $3 million over their lifetime. Yet most people are still living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because nearly 1/3 of their income is being eaten by debt. Credit cards at 20% plus, car loans, mortgages. So let's be clear. You're not broke because you don't make enough money. You're broke because your money system is set up to lose. In this video, I'm going to show you how financially successful people actually manage their money and how a few simple shifts can completely change your financial future. And in the next few minutes, you'll understand something that took many people years to learn. Let me tell you about someone I used to work with. We'll call him Mike. He was making over $120,000 a year, solid income, stable job, doing everything right on paper. But every single month he felt broke. No real savings, constant pressure, always waiting for the next paycheck to hit. And it makes you wonder, how does someone earning six figures still feel like they're barely getting by? Here's the first mistake most people never question: the belief that making more money automatically makes you rich. It sounds logical, almost obvious, but in reality, it's one of the biggest financial traps out there. Because income doesn't create wealth. What you keep does. When Mike got a raise from $80K to $120K, his life upgraded with it. Nicer apartment, newer car, more dinners out, better vacations, nothing crazy on its own, but together, his expenses grew just as fast as his income. Think about your own situation for a second. When your income goes up, what actually changes? Does your bank account grow, or do your expenses quietly rise to match it? A lot of people aren't getting richer, they're just getting more comfortable spending. Then there's another pattern I see all the time: the desire to look successful right now. I had a client named Sarah. If you saw her life from the outside, you'd think she had it all together. Luxury car, designer clothes, always traveling, always posting those perfect moments online. Everything looked polished, but behind the scenes, credit card balances, no emergency savings, stress every time a bill showed up. It raises a tough but honest question. If nobody could see your lifestyle, no Instagram, no coworkers, no friends to impress, would you still spend money the same way? Because a lot of spending today isn't about need, it's about perception. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you try to look rich, the harder it becomes to actually be rich. Every dollar spent on appearances is a dollar that could have been building something real in the background. Now let's talk about the quiet one, the one most people don't even notice anymore. Debt. At some point, debt became normal. Car payments, credit cards, monthly installments, it's just part of life, right? People stop questioning it. It blends into the routine. But here's what's really happening underneath. Compound interest is always working. The only question is, which side are you on? If you're investing, it works for you. But if you're carrying high interest debt, 20%, 24% on credit cards, it's working against you every single day. Let me put it this way. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while there's a hole at the bottom. You can pour faster, work harder, earn more, but the leak is still there. Does that sound familiar? You might be trying to invest, save, build something for the future, but at the same time, interest is quietly pulling you backward. So ask yourself honestly, are you actually moving forward or just staying in place while working harder? I've seen people chase 8-10% returns in the market while losing over 20% on their debt, and they don't even realize they're fighting a losing game. At the end of the day, this isn't really about math. It's about awareness. Most people don't step back and look at how their money is actually flowing. They just follow the default path. Earn more, spend more, carry some debt, repeat. But if you pause for a moment and look at your own habits, how you spend, what you prioritize, what you ignore, you start to see a pattern forming. So here's something worth thinking about, and I mean really thinking about. Are your current choices helping you build real financial freedom or just helping you maintain an image? Because the difference between those two paths doesn't show up overnight. But give it 5-10 years and it becomes impossible to ignore. Stay with me, because the next part explains why most people never escape this cycle. Let's get practical. Everything we just talked about means nothing if you don't have a system. So here are 6 steps, not theory, not motivation. These are the exact moves that separate people who stay broke from people who build real wealth over time. And I'm going to be direct with you. None of these are complicated, but they require discipline. That's the price. First, the Buy Nothing Challenge. This is where everything starts. For the next 30 days, you cut spending down to the absolute essentials: food, rent, transportation. That's it. No Amazon scrolling. No impulse buys. No, I deserve this spending. Because here's the reality most people avoid. The average American wastes $300, $600 a month on things they don't even remember buying. That's $7,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's $70,000 in invested. That could easily become over $150,000. So let me ask you, what would your finances look like if you just stopped the leaks? I had a client who did this for 60 days. He didn't make more money. He didn't invest smarter. He just stopped spending unnecessarily and saved $8,000. That became his first real financial momentum. You don't need a raise to get ahead. You need control. Second, build a small emergency fund. I'm not asking you for $50,000. I'm asking for $1,000 to $5,000. Why? Because life will hit you. Not maybe it will. Car repairs, medical bills, job gaps. And when it does, most people go straight back into debt. That's the cycle. So the question is simple. When something unexpected happens in your life, do you have a buffer or do you reach for a credit card? Because that one decision determines whether you move forward or reset back to zero. Think of this fund as stability, not growth, stability. Third, attack your debt, but do it strategically. There are 2 ways to pay off debt, logically and psychologically. And I'm telling you right now, the psychological way wins. Let's say you have 3 debts, $500, $2,000, and $10,000. Most people say pay the highest interest first. That's logical. But here's what actually works. You kill the $500 first, fast, then the $2,000, then the big one. Why? Because momentum matters more than math in the early stages. Every time you eliminate a debt, you free up cash flow. You build confidence. You prove to yourself that you're in control again. And let's not ignore this. Credit card interest at 24% is not normal. It's financial quicksand. If I offered you a guaranteed 24% return on your money, you'd take it instantly, right? That's exactly what you're losing by carrying that debt. Fourth, reduce your fixed costs. This is where real transformation happens. Most people try to cut small expenses, coffee, subscriptions, but ignore the big ones. That's a mistake. Your rent, your car, your insurance, these are the anchors. Let's break it down. If you're paying $700 a month for a car, that's $8,400 a year. Over 10 years, $84,000. Invested, that's easily over $150,000, $200,000. Now ask yourself honestly, is your car worth $200,000 of your future? I had a client who traded in his $600 month car for a used one he paid in cash. Overnight, he freed up $7,000 a year. That money didn't disappear anymore, it started building. Same with housing. Can you downgrade? Get a roommate? Move slightly further out? I know it's uncomfortable, but let me ask you, are you optimizing for comfort today or freedom tomorrow? Because you usually can't have both at the same time. The goal here is simple. Lower your baseline cost of living so you reduce risk. When your life is cheap to run, you become dangerous in a good way. You can take risks, start businesses, change careers, invest aggressively. Fifth, invest and invest in two places. You need to invest at least 15% of your income into assets that grow over time. Index funds like the S&P 500 are a simple starting point. Let's make this real. If you invest $500 a month consistently for 40 years at around 9% returns, you're looking at roughly $2 million. $500, that's it. Now here's the second part most people miss. You also need to invest in yourself. Skills increase income. Income accelerates everything else. Let's say you spend $2,000 learning a skill that helps you earn an extra $1,000 a month. That's a 600% return in 1 year. Show me a stock that does that consistently. So let me ask you, are you only trying to grow your money, or are you also growing your ability to make more of it? Because the fastest way to wealth is increasing your earning power. And one more thing, automate everything. If your investments depend on willpower, they will fail. Set it up so money gets invested before you even see it. Make saving easy. Make spending harder. Finally, step 6, eliminate your major debts, your house, your car, everything. This is where the game changes completely. Because once your major expenses are gone, something powerful happens. Your income becomes yours. No payments, no pressure, no obligations draining you every month. Let's say your total monthly expenses drop to $2,000 because everything is paid off. That's $24,000 a year. Now imagine you're earning $80,000. You're no longer surviving, you're building fast. At that point, you can invest aggressively, take bigger opportunities, and create real wealth at a completely different speed. I've seen people reach this stage and their entire mindset shifts. They're calmer, more focused, more strategic, because they're no longer playing defense. They're playing offense. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. You don't need a lucky break. You don't need a perfect economy. You don't need some secret investment strategy. You need a system. Cut unnecessary spending. Build a buffer. Kill debt. Lower your costs. Invest consistently. Eliminate obligations. And let me leave you with this. If you followed these 6 steps consistently for the next 5 to 10 years, where would you be? And more importantly, if you don't change anything, where will you be instead? Because both futures are being built right now. Now, you might be thinking, this all makes sense on paper. cut spending, save more, invest consistently. Nothing here is revolutionary. And one, but here's where things get real. Most people don't fail because they don't understand these steps. They fail because they don't stick with them long enough to see results. So the real question isn't, what should I do? It's, how do I actually follow through when life gets in the way? Because discipline fades, motivation comes and goes. And if your system relies on you feeling motivated, it's only a matter of time before you fall back into old habits. So in the next part, I'm going to show you something even more important than the steps themselves. A way to turn this into a game you can actually win. A system that keeps you consistent even on your worst days. And once you see it this way, managing money stops feeling like restriction and starts feeling like control. Let's slow down for a moment, because this is where everything clicks or everything falls apart. The biggest lesson in personal finance isn't about money, it's about discipline. Every dollar you spend today is not just a transaction, it's a trade. You are trading your future for your present. And most people don't realize how expensive that trade really is. Let me make it real for you. That $200 pair of shoes, it's not $200. If that money were invested and compounded over 30, 40 years, it could become $5,000 to $6,000. One decision, one moment of spending, and it quietly erases thousands from your future. Now pause and think, how many of those decisions have you made this year alone? This is the part most people don't want to face, because it's not about one big mistake, it's about hundreds of small ones, repeated consistently. And that's exactly why discipline matters more than anything else. Discipline is what separates intention from results. Everyone wants to be financially free. Very few are willing to consistently act like someone who will be, because the truth is, wealth is boring. It's repetitive. It's saying no when it's easier to say yes. It's sticking to a plan when no one is watching. Let me ask you something honestly. When was the last time you chose your future over your present? Not because you had to, but because you decided to? Now here's where it gets powerful. Living simply is not a sacrifice, it's a strategy. When your personal life is low cost, you gain something most people never have, freedom to take risks. You can start a business, switch careers, invest in opportunities, fail and try again. Why? Because your survival doesn't depend on high expenses. I've seen this over and over. The people who win long-term are not the ones making the most money early. They're the ones who kept their lifestyle under control long enough to build momentum. So let me challenge you with this idea. What if simplicity isn't holding you back, but actually setting you up to move faster later? And finally, we need to address something most people avoid saying out loud. Wealth is a choice, not an overnight decision, not a one-time action, but a series of daily choices. Every time you get paid, you decide where that money goes. And there are only two paths. You can spend it and slowly make banks, lenders, and credit card companies richer. Or you can keep it, invest it, and let it work for you. That's it. There's no third option. So the real question becomes, who is your money working for right now? Because whether you realize it or not, it is working every single day. The only thing left is deciding whose future it's building. And that decision is yours. So now you see it clearly. It's not about luck. It's not about timing the market. And it's definitely not about finding some secret shortcut. It comes down to the choices you make every single day, especially the small ones no one else sees. But here's the thing most people still miss. Understanding this is one thing. Actually committing to it is something else entirely. Because sooner or later you're going to face a moment where you have to choose comfort now or freedom later, looking rich or actually being rich. And in that moment, all the knowledge in the world won't matter, only your decision will. So before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final perspective, one that can completely reshape how you think about money, discipline, and the kind of life you're really building. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about dollars. It's about control. Let me leave you with something I wish more people understood earlier. Most people keep asking the wrong question. What do I need to do to get rich? They're looking for tactics, shortcuts, the next opportunity. But after years of investing, building, losing, and rebuilding, I can tell you this. That's not the question that changes your life. The real question is, what are you willing to give up to become wealthy? Because every meaningful result in life comes from trade-offs. You want financial freedom, then something has to go. Maybe it's the constant upgrades. Maybe it's the need to impress people. Maybe it's the habits that feel good today but cost you tomorrow. And I'll be honest with you, this is where most people stop. Not because they don't understand money, but because they're not willing to let go of the version of life that's keeping them stuck. So let me ask you directly, are you willing to drive a simpler car for a few years so you can own your time later? Are you willing to say no to things now so you can say yes to bigger opportunities later? Are you willing to be underestimated for a while so you can be unstoppable later? Because that's the path. That's always been the path. When I was younger, I didn't focus on looking successful. I focused on building something real, even when it was invisible to everyone else. And there were moments it felt slow, even frustrating. But time rewards discipline, always. The people who win are not the smartest. They're not the luckiest. They're the ones who stayed consistent when it wasn't exciting anymore. So if you're feeling lost right now, or unmotivated, or like you're behind, understand this. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to make a decision. A decision that from this point forward, your money will start working for you, not against you. A decision that you're done living on default. A decision that your future is worth more than temporary comfort. And once you make that decision, you don't need to change everything overnight. Just start with one action, then another, because wealth isn't built in one big move. It's built in the small choices you repeat long enough until your life looks completely different. Let's bring everything together. If there's one thing you should take away from this entire video, it's this. Money is not the problem. Your system is. You've seen how people can earn millions over a lifetime and still feel broke. You've seen how small daily spending can quietly turn into massive losses over time. And more importantly, you now have a clear path. Spend less than you make. Build a safety buffer. Eliminate high-interest debt. Lower your cost of living. Invest consistently. And most importantly, stay disciplined long enough to let it work. None of this is complicated, but it does require a decision to stop drifting, a decision to take control, a decision to build something real even if it's slow at the beginning. Because here's the truth. Your financial future won't be decided by one big moment. It will be shaped by the small choices you make every single day from now on. And now I want to hear from you. Which part of this video hit you the hardest? Is it your spending habits, your debt, or maybe the way you've been thinking about money? Drop a comment below and share your situation. I read them, and I want to know where you're starting from. I'll leave you with a powerful reminder from George Soros. It's not whether you're right or wrong that matters, but how much money you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong. Think about that. This isn't about being perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone does. What matters is building a system where your wins grow and your mistakes don't destroy you. So start today, even small, because 5 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or wish you had. Thank you for watching.